Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 136 of Classic Leap. We're a video game podcast, and my name is Scott. I'll be hosting tonight. I've got Dustin with me. What's going on, man?
I just got done with my first week of my internship.
An internship? Congratulations, man.
Thanks. That's why I'm all clean shaven and wearing a polo.
Oh, gotcha. So, your first taste of the real world. I mean, you have a kid and you're married, so it's not like you're void of the real world. But when it comes to a working standpoint, how was it?
It's pretty cool. It's like I was telling Kim earlier that it's like I'm working at an IT playground.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
like
it's
server racks galore and computers all over the place. Dude, that's badass.
My office is in a graveyard full of servers from all over. And I don't have very much. I don't have someone like over top of me like all the time, making sure I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, a couple of guys that I work with who are already awesome, they'll just be like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And we'll go like pull an image from a server and image some other server so we can put it somewhere else. And
cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've noticed that our suggestions on YouTube are all of a sudden like server based. It's like I can tell that you've been doing some research on YouTube on what to do because the suggestions are just wild now.
Servers and IT and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm getting a weird thing. I'm gonna try to turn on the light and see if it goes away. So. Apologize for any of our video listeners. The white balance in my webcam is going bonkers right now, so I'm kind of blinking in and out at the moment. Frankly, I'm not really sure where Josh is at, and Dustin, I feel really bad, right? So, I've been playing games with Biff McSkylark recently. He got into Heroes of the Storm. Now, by getting into it, I mean is enjoying playing it, getting into it, not just like got into the beta.
Right.
So I was talking with him. I'm like, dude, we need to have you on the cast soon. And he's like, yeah. So he tells me he's free tonight, but I totally forgot to do a graphic so we could have a fourth person added into the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, oh, well, we'll get you next week. And then Josh isn't here, so it would have worked out with the current graphic anyways.
Oh, man.
So it's like, so Biff, if you're listening, man, sorry about that. We'll definitely get you on here soon and try to get you on whenever we can. So... I think having Biff McSkylark come on periodically would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's basically Josh's fault, so.
It is Josh's fault. So, Josh, if you're listening to this, it's your fault.
Shame.
So, yeah, man, IT internship, that is so cool. Is any of your schoolwork coming into play? Or are you learning totally new stuff?
It is, but a lot of the stuff I learned in school was like, hey, this is a thing. This thing exists. On to the next thing. It's not like this is a thing. This is how it's used in like the real world.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that I'm encountering, I'm familiar with, but I'm filling in a lot of blanks where
Gotcha.
I'm like, okay, I know what this is. Oh crap. Okay, that's how you use it. This is how it runs. Like stuff like that.
So, stuff starting to really click. How long? When you said this is your first week?
Yeah.
So you started Monday?
Yeah, I started Monday.
Awesome, dude. What kind of hours you working?
It's about 25 hours a week.
Nice.
So it's part time. It's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and it's like 9 to 5.
Man, I'm just thrilled for you. That is so sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, good deal. Well, I think as far as the episode is concerned this week, we're going to talk a little bit about news. Then we have a lot of fan mail and YouTube comments to go over, so I definitely want to hit that up. And then, Dustin, you and I haven't really been... I guess I've been playing a lot, but you haven't. So it'll probably be a shorter episode again, which hopefully people don't mind. But the first thing that I really wanted to talk about this week is the new Guitar Hero. So it was announced. Did you realize that at all by chance?
Is it Guitar Hero Live?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you happened to see a trailer for it?
I've seen a graphic. I didn't see any trailers or anything.
Okay, I've got some thoughts.
All right.
Uh, the initial impression of it is horrible. It looks god awful.
Oh no.
So now I've listened to other podcasts talk about it, like Giant Bomb and Tested.com, the Tested podcast. So I've moved the needle a little bit away from completely horrible to this might be kind of fun. However, what they've done is they have like full motion video, like FMV from the 1990s in it. So instead of having your normal Guitar Hero characters, they actually have actors playing it. And it takes place in a first-person view, so you're looking over the crowd. And if you start playing bad, it pans over to this little tiny mosh pit of these people that have the corniest looks on their faces, like, oh, boo, you're playing bad. And then you start playing good, then all of a sudden you'll see them all happy and stuff. And I mean, it's jarring. So, okay. From a visual perspective, I don't like it. It just looks, and I'm sure they put a lot of effort into it. It just doesn't look like they put a lot of effort into it. But the thing is, the gameplay is probably going to be pretty sweet. So they're coming out with a brand new guitar for it. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. Or you've played Guitar Hero, right? So instead of there being 5 buttons all in a row, they're going to have 3 frets. So normally the 5 colors would each take up a fret. So you had 5 frets before. Now you only have 3 frets. However, there's like a top button and a bottom button.
Oh, okay.
So it actually is a little bit more like playing an actual guitar versus just the toy instrument. But I don't know. It also probably didn't help that they played Fall Out Boy as the song that I watched.
No.
That's
that
rough,
never
right?
helps.
No.
Yeah.
So they're playing Fall Out Boy, and they don't have a shot of anyone's hand actually playing the game. So it looks really, really easy. I'm sure that it's actually quite difficult and challenging to play, especially if you were really good at the original Guitar Hero. I bet that your reflexes and stuff will have to change and be a whole lot different. But all in all, man, I can tell you this much: I'm not chomping at the bit to go out and buy a Xbox One or a PS4 to get this thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It was rough, rough looking.
Is it guitar only?
Yes, it's guitar only, which I actually think could be a benefit for them.
Yeah, you're kind of a master of one trade instead of jack of all.
Exactly. And Rock Band's pretty much got that whole segment locked down as far as having the variety of instruments and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's cool that Activision's taking an approach where they're going to try to differentiate themselves a little bit. But at the same time, you get a little nervous because there's you need to rebuy, or you need to get buy-in from your customers again. So they're going to need to purchase a new instrument. They're not going to be able to use any of their old DLC. Even if let's pretend that licensing isn't an issue and they could just use whatever songs that they wanted. They'd have to remake every song because the whole interface is different. Whereas with Rock Band, it seems like there's a chance that some of the DLC could transfer over, which is pretty cool. But I guess you also have to give Guitar Hero credit because it could be an opportunity to really expand on what they're doing, whereas Rock Band is going to be tied to the old instruments and the old way of doing things, where Guitar Hero is not going to have that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I got to tell you, man, when I first watched the launch trailer on Giant Bomb, I thought, yeesh. So, I don't know. We'll see. I bet that the game's a whole lot of fun to play, but man, it just looks corny. But I mean, I guess it is. You are playing a plastic instrument, but I kind of like the idea of a cartoon character, a video game character up there rocking out.
Yeah.
Because what's really weird is okay. I don't know if this is completely true or not, but I'm under the impression that every song is going to have its own set of actors and a venue and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And new downloadable songs will just run their cover art like in the background, like as you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that there's going to be all of these actors being corny throughout every song in different ways every time. But because you filmed it, it's going to be the same video over and over again.
Yeah.
And I get it that you typically don't look at what's happening in the background because you're so focused on hitting the notes. But this is so weird that I think that it actually might draw your attention to it.
Yeah.
So watching the Fall Out Boy one, it was all these dudes dressed up kind of like Fall Out Boy. So it's supposed to be a little bit of a punk show. I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. But hearing other people talk more about it has me thinking that it's not going to be completely terrible, but again, I did not like the launch trailer, and I will not be purchasing this right out of the gate.
I kind of like the idea of it, though. It sounds like Guitar Hero if it came out on the Sega CD.
Right?
Yeah.
FMV Guitar Hero. So yeah, I don't know. Did you ever get into any of those games, Rock Band or Guitar Hero?
When we got back from our second deployment, a bunch of the guys would come into my barracks room, and it would be like 9 o'clock in the morning, but we would be drinking beer and playing Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was just like all we did. So, but then like after I got out of the Army, I didn't play any Guitar Hero after that because it just wasn't as good.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, yeah, it's the first few times that you get to play it, it's you remember it quite fondly, and you know who you were playing with and all that. So, well, good deal, man. Did you happen to see also? This is actually probably bigger news, but I don't have as much to talk about when it comes to it. Is that Hearthstone is out on phones now?
I saw somebody tweet about that. They said that their lunch break was so much better now because Hearthstone is on their phone.
I don't know how I see how they did it, but the UI actually works well on a tiny little screen. I'm shocked.
Is it all over, like iOS and Android?
Yeah, which I'm really shocked at. So they held off I bet that the iOS version has been done for eons, but because there's so much fragmentation in the Android market that I bet it took them a long time to get that all together, and they probably didn't want to have a situation like they did with the iPad versus the Android tablets, where people that had Android were just like chomping at the bit to play it and not having an opportunity to. But yeah, man, the UI looks really cool. So you've played a little bit of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know how you have the cards underneath your character?
Mm-hmm.
They're shifted off to the right now.
Okay.
And so then you click on the cards and they take up kind of the whole screen so you can read what they are. And then you tap on it and then tap on the board and it just works from there.
Oh, okay.
Instead of having like 10 mana crystals show up, you have a single mana crystal now, and it shows you like 6 out of 6 or 5 out of 5 or what have you, instead of actually having a mana crystal for each of them.
Okay.
When it comes to opening packs and buying packs in the store and all that stuff, it's completely redesigned, and it has more of like a carousel motion through it versus, I guess, how do you describe it? All the cards there at once. Like now you have to kind of look at them one at a time and open them up one at a time, which is actually quite fun to do. And you get a free pack of cards if you play on your phone.
Oh, right on.
Which is pretty sweet.
Do those transfer?
Yes.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, and here's another great thing. Is it's all account bound and it's not hardware bound. So all of my progress, I can sit down on my PC. When I'm sick of playing at my PC, I can just log in from my phone, start playing on my phone before I go to bed, and it's no problem. It's all the same servers and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Blizzard did a really good job with that. You'll be proud of me, man. It's been a long time since I've spent any money on Hearthstone.
All right.
Even though they've had like okay, except for the expansion that came out. I'm not counting that. I haven't frivolously bought cards in a long time.
Okay.
I did buy the expansion.
Less to be expected.
Yeah.
That's more game to play. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. And you get cards for playing it.
Yeah.
Like, and you get some legendaries and stuff, so... Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. And then the last thing in the news that I wanted to get to, Dustin, and I really wanted to get your thoughts specifically on this. Did you happen to see, at least Polygon had this posted today, that GameStop is going to start accepting old consoles?
That's weird.
Very specifically, the NES, the Super Nintendo, Genesis, Dreamcast, 64, and the PlayStation.
Huh. I wonder why. I guess there's just, they see money in it now?
Apparently. Which, I mean, we're biased. You and I collect retro games.
Mm-hmm.
So in our eyes, it's a valuable market and it's flourishing, and we check that stuff out. But it's weird to see a corporation, I guess, notice that.
Yeah.
So there must be a shitload of people going into GameStops asking for retro stuff.
Either that or somebody high up at GameStop accidentally got on eBay and like clicked on some old video games and like, holy crap, these things sell for a lot. Why aren't we in this?
Yeah. I don't know. I part of me hates the idea of like running to GameStop to pick up a 72-pin connector when I have like local game stores here that sell used games. They give you much better value. You get a lot better store credit, and the games are the same price, if not cheaper.
You'd have to pre-order your 72-pin connector.
You probably have to, or they'd or you need to sign up for their card thing or whatever, their rewards program in order to get access to the old stuff. Do you think they'll start selling old games? Cause as far as I can tell, this article is just with consoles.
This is probably like the test portion. If this does well, then they'll probably start thinking about games.
It is, yeah, and this is not happening at all GameStops. I guess let me try to see if I can pull up the article. But it's in like New York and maybe like Houston or something that they're piloting this. No, Birmingham. I knew it was somewhere down south. So in New York and Birmingham, Alabama markets, they're going to test this. And it's hardware for old stuff.
Oh, man. Hey, right now, if you're listening to this, go hit the Goodwills.
Yeah.
Buy up all those old PlayStation 1s and 64s sitting on Goodwill shelves. And then you go trade them in. Buy yourself an Xbox One.
It's funny that you said Xbox One. Are you burning out on your PS4?
No, I already own that one.
Okay. So you got your eyes set out on.
Yeah, if I buy a new console, it's the only one I don't have. So,
but I mean,
you don't have to buy yourself an Xbox One.
Are you? You're pretty far away from wanting an Xbox One, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd have to have a lot of disposable income before I just go buy one right now. Yeah. But there are games I want to play on it. Like I want to play Forza 2. I want to play. Was it Overdrive? Sunset Overdrive?
Sunset Overdrive, that looks really cool.
The Fast and the Furious game sounds cool.
Yeah, because it's built on the Forza engine.
Yeah.
Ori.
I want to play Ori. Even though I can play it on the PC, but I want to play on the Xbox One.
That's cool. Yeah, so I mean, I still am not anywhere close to wanting to buy a PS4 or an Xbox One. Just nowhere close. There are games I want to play for them, but I'm not dying to play them.
Yeah, I understand that. I think it was Ground Zeroes that broke me.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really wanted to play that. It was great.
So, well, I mean, as far as news is concerned, that's pretty much it. So, yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on GameStop accepting consoles. Let me get a prediction from you.
All right.
Success or failure? Success means that they expand to other markets. Failures, obviously, they don't.
I don't think it's going to work.
I don't think so either.
Mainly because the people that own those own them because they want to own them and play them. You don't have very many people with, at least I don't think, that have NESs, SNESs just kind of sitting around. People tend to either Goodwill those or yard sell them. And I think that the people that do own those are collectors, and they're going to be especially resistant to GameStop getting involved.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I didn't think about it from that perspective. But I bet you're right.
They're like they are the ultimate douchebag reseller, right?
That's at least that's the reputation that they've earned.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that I think it's a cool idea that maybe they're paying attention to the market well enough to say like, oh man, like old stuff is really popular right now. We should try to capitalize on it. Unless they throw a bunch of money into advertising about it, I don't think that it'll take off in those markets.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be in every Game Informer.
Yeah. I don't read Game Informer. Are they littered with GameStop ads?
Oh, they're like whenever you sign up for their stupid rewards card, you get a subscriction to Game Informer. That's the reason Game Informer is still around as a magazine.
So Jason A. Stryker and Dan Reichert over at Giant Bomb made a good move.
Yeah, basically.
Leaving Game Informer.
Maybe. As long as Giant Bomb still keeps doing well.
Yeah, well, and they are. So, yeah. And it's funny that we're so nervous about Giant Bomb. Just because like I would be so devastated if it went away.
Yeah, seriously.
It's so cool, man. Well, I see something on the show notes that you put there, and I want to talk about that before we talk about what you've been playing.
Okay.
Oh, never mind. We're gonna do comments and emails before we do what we've been playing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, but let's get to the thing on the show notes before we get to those. So, Daredevil, huh?
Yeah.
On Netflix, how many episodes have you watched?
I think I'm on episode 5.
Okay, I've only watched the first one so far.
Okay.
What's your impression of it?
I think it's great so far.
The first episode is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's getting rave reviews, so I'm going to watch the whole thing.
It's it's shot really well. The guy who plays Daredevil, I don't know if he's done anything before. I've never seen him before personally.
Me either.
And I think he's done. He pulls it off great. Mm-hmm. The acting is good. They are really taking their time and building the characters up. They are referencing a lot of the stuff that's happening in the Marvel canon.
Nice. Okay, I'm only at one episode in, so I haven't seen.
Like, I think it's in the first episode where they say something about the incident.
Oh yeah, they're talking about like New York or whatever.
Yeah, and that's from the Avengers.
Oh, when they said the incident, I thought he was referencing the incident that made him go blind.
Oh yeah.
Because that took place kind of in New York or whatever, or wherever he lives. Daredevil's in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Hell's Kitchen.
Is Hell's Kitchen a real place in New York?
I think so.
Cool. So it sounds like it'd be one of the 5 boroughs from like what was the DiCaprio movie with
Gangs in New York?
Gangs in New York, yeah. I actually like that movie. I'm not a big Scorsese fan, but I liked that movie.
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia, so it has to be true.
It definitely is. So, well, cool, man. Well, yeah, let's get to some fan mail. We have a great story from Kevin and another great email from our co-host Mike. So let's get to that stuff, and then we'll talk about what we've been playing. So, do you want the long Kevin's email, or do you want to read Mike's?
I can read Kevin's.
Okay.
All right. So this is from our Canadian correspondent, Kevin. He says, I've been hearing stories about save files and want to let you know of a tale that has happened to me twice. The year was 1990-something, and I was playing Oddworld Apes Exodus for the PlayStation. Rooster and I were trying our darndest to find all the Mudokons, and we're doing a pretty decent job.
Rooster is Kevin's best buddy and the co-host of the Pair Nerds podcast. If you don't know who that was, okay.
For the audience.
Yeah, for the audience.
Thanks to a tips and tricks magazine that outlines all the secrets too. Rooster and I would pass the controller to each other every hour or so, and the game has a cool feature known as a quick save, meaning you can save anytime, anywhere. This includes falling off a cliff and saving before impact, which is what Rooster did.
Oh.
From then on, the game would load a thud and dramatic music as we see Abe constantly fall to death in a sort of Groundhog Day from hell. So we tried again from scratch. I had one of those Uber third-party memory cards that had 8-in-1 memory cards. Actually, I still have it. What the memory card does is select the first one as default. One light represents memory card 1, 2 lights represent memory card 2, and some other dumbass lights represent 4 through 8. That's not a problem. The problem was that whenever you go to access the memory card in the game, the card itself will go back to memory card 1. Now, if you have a game saved on memory card 2, because you have so many save files, it will automatically move to 1 regardless. So you know when games say don't turn off or remove the memory card during saves, listen to that. The memory card would switch or be removed as far as the console was concerned. The trick was to press the button twice before saving so that it'll stick to memory card 2. But when you've been marathoning, you forget things, and thus it defaulted to 1 as it was saving. Our save file was corrupted. Our whole memory card was corrupted. We were at the end of Oddworld with 289 Mudokons and knew what to do, but lost it all, along with save files for Final Fantasy 7, 8, Chrono Cross, and Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear freaking Solid was gone. We were young. We had time to explore in these games. Working out ways to defeat Ultimate Weapon and grinding, all the proceeds were gone. We even made duplicate copies of save files in case that did happen. We never thought the whole thing would be messed up. Because I was young, I cried and tried to explain to my mom what had happened. Of course, she didn't care, and only Rui shared my pain. I've never completed Oddworld Abe's Exodus. I'll wait for the HD remake. Sorry for the long story. Keep up the good work. Kevin, sent from my iPhone.
One correction, he said great work. Pat ourselves on the back there a little bit.
Oh, keep up the great work, yes.
So
and
Kevin,
he sent us a memory card, a picture of that memory card he has.
Yeah, so I think what I'll do, and Mike also sent a picture as well in his email. So I think what I'll do is just combine the two. So our thumbnail this week is not going to make any sense unless you've listened to the episode, but that's okay. That's all good. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for Kevin, like a little kid to lose. I mean, all of that,
everything.
Oh my gosh. I'm impressed he still plays games.
No joke. Yeah, that'd make me want to give up.
So, yeah, Kevin, thanks a lot for writing in, man. Oh, and also huge congratulations. His baby
he's
was
a father
born,
now.
Yeah, his baby was born at the end of the month. So, get this. I sent Kevin a little gift card as like a congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought one of those baby butt wipe warmers.
Mm-hmm.
So now his daughter has a warm, toasty butt every time she shits herself.
All right.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so Kevin, congratulations there. She's a very cute baby.
The perks of running a website.
Yeah. And also, did we talk about Kevin last week and his trip to Comic-Con and telling people to go to our site? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think we forgot to.
But go to ClassicLeap.com and you can check out some pictures that Kevin posted there from his trip to Comic-Con in Toronto. So
There's some cool stuff in there.
That's one of the nice things about living in a big city like Toronto. Mm-hmm. Is you get really cool crap to happen to you. So you're lucky you live in Nashville.
True.
Or close enough to Nashville. Like
yeah.
you get huge music acts, not just country music, but you get huge music acts. You've got professional sports there.
Yep.
The weather's decent. Man, screw you.
Hey, there's plenty of room.
There is. I can move down there too.
That's true. It's a developing city. There's jobs everywhere.
I can't leave my current job though. That's my issue.
Just get your job to move with you.
Okay. I'll just sell billboards remotely. I mean I could golf all year round.
Mm-hmm. Well, no. You'd be golfing on ice at some point.
Oh, that's true. It's not quite the Carolinas. Because in Carolinas, like even though it snows a little bit here and there, It still could get up over 45 in January in Carolina.
Yeah. Although it does get windy, so
Oh,
you'd
that's
have to
all right.
fight wind.
Yeah, that's part of. If you're playing a sport outside, you have to accept the fact that it might be a little windy at times.
Yeah.
So,
But that just make you a better golfer, right?
yeah, when I was a little kid and it was windy. Okay, so do you know what a draw is in golf?
No.
Okay, it's when you hit the ball flush, so you have a really nice contact with the club and the ball.
Hmm.
And as a right-hander, the ball goes out to the right a little bit and then curves back slightly to the left.
Okay.
It means that you have just really nice fluid rotation. And it's a real subtle little draw, little curve. It's not actually like hooking it or slicing it or anything like that.
Okay.
So when I was younger and it would be windy, I couldn't swing hard enough to get a good draw on the ball. But it was when it was a crosswind from my right to the left and the ball would get up in the air and be pushed by the wind, I felt like I was drawing the ball. So, yeah, I've been playing golf since I was about 9 years old, and I'm 32 now. I'm not really very good, but I still love that damn sport. So, then Mike T writes in, which, again, shout out to Mike T. They put out another episode of the Cartoon Retro Cast, and they reviewed GoBots this time. So I enjoyed listening to that today. But he writes in and says, hi, oh my gosh, this is a bad start to the email. I'm reading it dyslexically, which isn't a word. Hi, Scott, Dustin, and Josh. The first time I had heard about Lego Dimensions was on your show. Damn, what a dumb idea. But then again, I've never liked Lego games, and I have a couple of them. I'll admit that this will be cool for people that like Lego toys and Lego video games, though. So, yeah, I admit I agree with him.
Yeah,
cool
if you're
for
into
them.
Lego, this is definitely going to be up your alley.
So he's got some questions.
Okay.
What is a roguelite / roguelike game? I've been hearing this term more than Metroidvania nowadays. I figured Dustin was finally able to properly explain. Sorry, I read that wrong. I figured Dustin was finally able to properly explain Metroidvania to me, so he'd be good to explain Rogue, whatever. And then he also, we'll get to that in a second. He writes in and says, lots of critically acclaimed games are coming out recently released on the console environment, like Broken Age, AVGN, and Bastion. Have you guys played these games, and which would be your top pick? And then his last question is golf membership or this? And he shows the new Batman Arkham Knight bundle from PS4.
Yeah.
Golf membership. Although the PS4 is quite sexy.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
So if I was to get one, that might be it. So to go back, when he says, Dustin, what is a roguelite or a roguelike game? What's your best explanation of this?
So a roguelike it's actually self-explanatory. It's a game that is like Rogue.
Yeah.
And Rogue is it was this old adventure game back in the day that used ASCII graphics, and it was it used this mechanic where you went forward, and I can't remember if you leveled up in the earliest Rogue, but in games nowadays you level up, you get gear, you make progress, but when you die, you lose everything and start at the beginning.
Yeah, and I guess my definition, as far as I understand it, as far as a roguelite or a roguelike, means that there's some element of randomness to when you go back to the world.
Right, yeah.
And I
think
that's
another big thing.
That's really what differentiates it from other games, is that you get randomly generating worlds.
Yeah, randomly generated. That's a very good point. But yeah, it's basically roguelike is a lot like when first-person shooters used to be Doom clones.
Yeah,
right?
That is perfect.
It's not. It's something that hasn't become enough of a genre that it's called something.
Yeah. And at this point, people are calling roguelikes so frequently that I think that it has become a genre.
Yeah, a lot like Metroidvania, because...
What else are you going to call it?
Yeah, otherwise it's like item-based progression mechanic game.
You need a full sentence to explain it.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, I mean, if you're leveling up and the world's randomly generating for you, odds are good you're playing a roguelike.
Yeah, like Spelunky,
Rogue
Bur-
Legacy.
yeah, Rogue Legacy. What's the one? Isaac, Binding of Isaac,
Binding of Isaac is another good one.
Rogue.
Rogue, which looks terrible. Have you ever played Rogue? Mm-mm. I've only seen it. It looks too primitive.
Yeah, aren't you an at symbol in your character? An at symbol?
I don't know.
It's
I
like
thought you were like a little Atari guy. I thought that you
proto Twitter.
So maybe, yeah. So maybe I wasn't even looking at Rogue. Have you seen the 2600 Atari of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that you looked like a little guy, a little Indiana Jones type guy, but if it's all ASCII, then yeah, you probably are just like an at symbol. So, yeah, okay. And then Mike also asked some other stuff. He says lots of critically acclaimed games are coming or recently released on the console environment, like Broken Age, AVGN, and Bastion. I'm assuming he means the Angry Video Game Nerd game, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, I've played 2 of 3 of them. I have played Bastion. I've played Angry Video Game Nerd, and I haven't played Broken Age, but I've watched the entire documentary that Double Fine has been doing on Broken Age, so I feel like I've got a pretty good sense of the game. So my top pick is Bastion, without, like, not even close. As far as if I can only play one of those 3 games, I'm playing Bastion.
Cool.
Have you played Angry Video Game Nerd or Broken Age?
Mm-mm. I haven't played any of them.
Well, you've played Bastion. Mm-mm. You've not played Bastion?
I've never played Bastion. I kind of missed it somehow.
I want to hang up on you so bad right now.
But I think the AVGN game is made by the guy who made Manos: The Hands of Fate.
Yep, Freak Zone Games, I think, is the name of him. He seems like a really nice guy. We follow him on Twitter and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And he's one of those indie developers that has been real public in saying, look, if you do a Let's Play in my game, I'm honored.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a real down-to-earth, cool
nice guy.
Cool cat.
I don't know, maybe we'll have to send him an email, see if he'd like to do an interview or something. But Broken Age seems like a cool game, but it's a point-and-click adventure. So you're going to have puzzles. It's going to be a lot of taking in story, trying to figure out what's going on. Kind of like King's Quest and those types of things. So for me, it's Bastion. And I'll tell you why. So the AVGN game, I've played it on the Wii U, and the controls are not tight. They're a little floaty, and it makes it unfair. Like, there's a lot of cheap deaths, and I think I get the point that the game is intentional. It's supposed to have cheap deaths in it because AVGN is just known for reviewing really crappy games. So I feel like this game had to walk a really fine line of paying homage to shitty games, but not itself being a shitty game.
Yeah.
And I think it did a pretty good job, but it's nowhere close to how much fun I had with Bastion. And since I haven't played Broken Age, yeah. So
I've listened to the Bastion soundtrack.
It's great.
Yeah. Do I own that?
Probably. I feel like everybody owns Bastion and the Bastion soundtrack because it's been in Humble Bundles before. Dude, Bastion's like a 6 to 10 hour game. And you level stuff up, and it's kind of skill-based combat. The voice acting's unbelievable in it. The art style is amazing.
No, I do own that.
The controls are
really
play
good.
That sometime. I think you should absolutely play it.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know. We've even had Greg Kasavan on the podcast before. It was before you joined, a couple months before. But Josh and Tony interviewed him, and it was really cool to hear. Actually, I missed that interview because I was out golfing. I remember
I was
that.
probably playing Resident Evil again. That's probably what I was doing.
That's because that's what you do. But yeah, Mike, thanks a lot for writing in. Yeah, I found Lego Dimensions from Boogie2988. You know, the Francis guy on YouTube, the big fat dude that freaks out.
Hmm.
So I subscribed to his YouTube channel. And if you go back and listen to our live stream or YouTube version of last episode, you can hear the intro to one of Boogie2988's videos, because I forgot what the Lego game was called, and I saw it on his channel. So I went to click on his channel to see, like, it was called Lego Dimensions, and it just instantly started playing a video, and I'm like, oops, that made it into the show. It didn't make it into, because it didn't pipe through Skype, so it only made it in the live stream and the YouTube version. If you listen to the audio podcast, you're not going to hear the Francis bit. So it was just for a split second, so I don't think anybody listened to it. And then also, we got a couple of quick comments from our last episode. Zarek Gaming was really happy with the shout out, so definitely excited to help him out, because he says that he grinned ear to ear during the shout out, and that the space cat was pleased as well. He just can't show it. You know, I hate cats, and I love this meme. His thumbnail is the best.
Yeah.
And he's been working, he says, silly long hours this week. Close to 90 when the week was finished. So he said our podcast helped one of those hours pass much faster. So we'll just call him Zarek. Zarek, thanks a lot, dude. Really appreciate it.
And he has a channel too. Mm-hmm. So go watch his stuff.
Yeah, I've got it linked in our last show notes. So if you go to episode 135 and go into our show notes on YouTube or ClassicElite.com, you'll be able to link to his gaming channel.
There you go, people. You have no excuse.
Yep. It's good stuff. And then also, we had some comments from Demez. So last episode, I mentioned that he must be from the States just by the way he talks. He's Canadian. I got it wrong.
That's close enough.
Close enough. I mean, that's what I meant. He sounded like he was from
North America.
North of Mexico, North America. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. He also, if you're interested in Ultron and what Ultron is, you can go back to our 135 episode on YouTube and read his comment. I'm not going to read it here because it feels a little spoilery, because he's talking about like the comic book lore behind Ultron. So don't worry, Demez. You didn't spoil anything for me. You just gave a bit of a backstory. But I'm not going to read it on the show just in case there's any hardcore people out there that want to go in knowing nothing about Ultron.
Yeah. People that like don't watch trailers and
I'm one of those
super media blackout people.
I'm one of those people. So
yeah.
Judge all you want, Dustin.
I've done that a couple of times.
I was going to threaten to hang up on you again if you disagreed. So
I probably won't watch any more trailers for Star Wars.
I'm definitely not. Like, my buddy just asked me because did a new one come out recently?
I don't even know.
Okay, me either. But I got a text from my buddy about watching the Star Wars trailer. I'm like, nope, not going to do that.
That teaser showed me exactly what I wanted to see. I'm good.
Yep. Dude, I completely agree with you. And then also, he had a really great tip to help with my CPU encoding when I'm ripping Blu-rays. So, Demez, thank you very much. I think that's going to be very, very helpful. Basically, you just let me know how to set the Handbrake exe file to a low priority, so it's not going to hog up the resources like it was, which is cool. Because I re-encoded all of my Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 4 on Blu-ray, and then saw his comment.
Right, because you were saying that it like soaks up your entire processor, right?
Yeah, so it maxes out all the cores, and then everything runs a little slowly. And I think it's because it was set for a high priority.
Yeah.
So but if you set it to a low priority, everything will be nice and snappy. Because I've got a hyper-threading CPU, so it recognizes 8 cores instead of the 4 that are physical there.
Cool.
So yeah, Well, just want
Good
to thank.
advice. Very good advice.
Yes. I want to thank Demez and Zarek very much for writing in and leaving comments on our YouTube videos. That's very, very cool. So, Dustin, excuse me. You been playing some Metal Gear Solid 3?
Yep. Yeah, I've been going back to Giant Bomb. I've been watching the Metal Gear Scanlan,
Oh, yeah.
where Drew Scanlan's playing through all the Metal Gears, and he's been playing through Metal Gear Solid 3 here recently. And watching him play through it has really made me want to play through it. So I downloaded that off PSN, and I've actually spent most of my time playing it on Vita. Right after the episode where I said I don't like playing handheld
I was
games.
just going to say, mister, I hate handhelds.
But the only other place I could play it was my PS3, and that's usually taken by Curious George. So
Gotcha.
I did play it on my PlayStation Vita, and it actually plays really well. They did a good job converting that Vita,
Awesome.
doing the HD version. I kind of forgot how the Vita works because I was reading the manual, and it was like to change your weapons or equip something, you need to hit the touch screen and do it from there. And I kept hitting the back touch screen, and I'm like, this isn't working. Like, is my Vita broken? I don't understand. And then I was like, did I read it wrong? I go to the menu and I'm reading it in touch screen. I'm like, oh damn it, the front touch screen is the touch screen.
You
I guess
old man.
Well, I guess I just haven't touched my Vita in so long. I forgot that the front screen is the touch screen. So it's actually pretty sweet because you have your screen here and your weapon and your items are right here. So you can just touch those and scroll up and down.
Nice.
And when you do that, it pauses the action. So it's not something that you have to like do split second.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, it works really well. Also, Brad Shoemaker said that he had frame rate issues on the Metal Gear Solid 3 DS version, but I think that's probably the best version of that game. Like I actually reviewed that for the site.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great because they revamped the controls in such a way that it played a lot like Peace Walker or Metal Gear Solid 4. And I thought that that's what they were going to do with the HD remakes that they put out not long after that. Mm-hmm. But they didn't. The HD remakes play like the first releases. So you have a lot of the if you watch Drew Scanlan play, he complains because you have to like you hold down R1 to go into first person, and then you hold down square to put up your gun, and then you hold down like if you're holding or an assault rifle, you have to hold down like another button to look down the sights. And if you're crouched, then you have to hold down L2 and R2 to like peek up, and then you have to hold
That sounds ridiculous.
But with the MGS4 style of play, it was very much like an over the shoulder. You hit like L2 and your gun comes up and you can point.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the 3DS version is the game that I always download. Or I shouldn't say always. I've only done it twice, but the demo of it is what I downloaded to try out the Circle Pad Pro.
Oh yeah,
and because I think that was the game that kind of showcased the Circle Pad Pro, if I remember correctly. And the 3D and it's really good. Mm-hmm. So I downloaded the demo again when I got the new 3DS XL, so that I could try out the nub and check out the 3D and see how like it works, because it's a really intense 3D game. So yeah, that's cool, man. But that's it. That's your game for the week. Well, now that you're a working man and a father and you're about to be done with school.
Yeah, I graduated in like less than a month. It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah,
that's exciting, man.
It is. I'm ready to be done.
I was just about to ask, think you'll end up going back?
Maybe here or there, but probably not for a while.
Yeah. Especially if you can get a proper job.
Yeah.
And it, like, you'll learn more. Or like, why? Oh, you get the. Okay, you'll get the GI Bill, right?
I do, but it's I don't have very much left. So.
Oh, you know, I was just okay. That's what I was going to ask. Is like, If you then go for your bachelor's in something, then do you?
I'd probably have to pay out of pocket or
Yeah,
do loans.
that
Or
seems
something like
wrong.
Well, I mean,
You did 2 tours. I'm sorry. You get free education. Period.
hey, I'm with you. But just to kind of give people an idea, I did like I did a lot of schooling before I even got into like the IT because I was going to go for a nursing degree.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, and I got into nursing school and was like, nah, this really isn't for me. So I actually spent a lot of the GI Bill just in that chunk, and I was actually doing like I would just max out my credit hours so I could just get the maximum amount of GI Bill,
Yeah.
and so I spent a lot of it just trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and then
We'll shoot
now
$1 million missiles like they're nothing. And they'll cut off one of our that's crazy.
but I got like 36,000 and stuff like that. So
And
I don't know that I spent all of that, but
and they could hold back one missile and send like how many of you through as much schooling as you want. It's crazy. So, all right, done with that rant. But oh yeah, go ahead.
what was I gonna say? I don't know. I forgot already.
Okay. So, well, then I guess let's talk about what I've been playing. I 100%ed a game, Dustin.
Oh snap!
Super Mario 3D Land.
And that's the 3DS one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I beat every single level with Mario and Luigi and got a gold flag on every single level too. So the gold flag means that you jumped on the flagpole at the very, very tip top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the flag raises, when the flag gets to the top, like as you fly down, it turns gold. So once you do all of this, and this is more than I did this also in those super hard special levels too. So I did it through the game, through all the special levels, and then it opens up an additional ridiculously hard level. And so I went nuts trying to beat this super hard level. And I was getting to the point where I'm like, I can't wait to bitch about this on the podcast. I talk about how unfair it is and how it's not even fun and poorly designed. I beat it with Mario and Luigi and got the gold flag.
That's awesome.
So I was really proud of myself for that from a gaming perspective. It was a lot of fun. It's taken me about 3 years to do because I think that game came out in 2011. I don't think I got it brand new, but it was one of the first games that I got for the 3DS. So I want to say I've been picking away at it for about 3 years, and finally I got close enough that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And then another really hard game on the 3DS I've been playing is Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was about to bitch about the final level there, but I beat it. What stinks about Donkey Kong Country Returns is I wish I never would have watched the credits. Usually, I like to watch the credits and whatnot, but in this game, when it's done, a new world opens up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll play a little bit more of this. So I go to the new world, and they say that I need 8 of these token things. Which, if I understand correctly, you get the tokens by collecting the letters Kong, K-O-N-G, in every level of the game. So going back to every level in every world and collecting these is like ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to do it. But it frustrated me that it let the credits roll and then unlock something. Like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like I beat it.
Yeah. You just got to go back through the entire game.
I can't. Yeah.
And scour every single level.
I can't do that. That game's too hard. Did you play that on Wii?
I haven't played it yet.
It's too tough to do that for me. I'm not good enough. But it's fun. I mean, it's a really good game. I'm glad that that's the second time I've beaten that all the way through because I did get it on Wii, and I have it on 3DS. So it's a good game.
I remember the first Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo being hard in a way that wasn't entertaining.
Yeah, like the physics behind his jumping and controlling him are a little slippery.
Yeah.
And coming from Super Mario 3D Land and Shovel Knight and games like that, I wanted a little bit crisper of controls.
Ooh, especially Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Those freaking controls, man, spot on.
What was weird was I was so used to playing. Oh, I'm almost done with Shovel Knight again. So I've almost got it beat on the 3DS. That was one of the goals that I had, was to try to talk about 3D Land, ending Donkey Kong Country, and Shovel Knight all within the same week. But it didn't happen. Maybe next week I'll be able to beat it. But
that would be a game that they should make a retail copy of.
Oh yeah, like they did with DX, Retro City Rampage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, I agree. I think a physical release would do well. There's been rumors. I mean, I'm sure it won't happen, but people voting for Shovel Knight to be in the new Smash Brothers, because apparently you can vote for people to be in the new Smash. I don't know if they'll implement them, but yeah, I think Shovel Knight would be really cool, or Super Meat Boy, or bring in like an indie character that's been hey Solomon, or bring in like an indie character that's been really popular. Just help bring it more mainstream, you know?
The Bit Trip guy gets around, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does as well, from Gaijin Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was in Super Meat Boy, for example. So, okay. Another thing that I did this week, gaming-wise, was I tried to watch Heroes of the Dorm. Have you heard about this at all, Dustin?
Is that Heroes of the Storm being played?
By college kids.
Okay. That makes sense.
And they have it set up like the NCAA tournament. So they had 64 teams and then 32, 16.
Yeah. I remember you talking about this.
And they streamed it on ESPN, which sounds great. Except it wasn't. So the stream just flat out didn't work. My cable subscription does not get ESPN 3. I think ESPN 3 might be streaming only anyways. But if you were in Europe or you were in Canada or somewhere else that doesn't have ESPN, you were kind of boned. And I think that you may have needed a cable subscription to watch it. I do have a cable subscription because of the sports. So, you know, I should be able to watch ESPN 3. And the stream just was completely unwatchable. Which is a bummer, because they had like Day 9 as one of the guys, and he's one of my favorite people on the internet doing casting for it. So I really wanted to hear him and didn't get an opportunity to. So that was a bummer.
Uncharacteristically
it's on Blizzard.
Ill-prepared from Blizzard.
Yeah, right? And so none of this college championship stuff was on Twitch either.
Wow, that's really weird.
So yeah, it's and what sucks is ESPN's probably going to look at this and maybe they'll think the ratings were bad or whatnot. Like,
yeah. This reminds me. Have you ever seen Hot Rod?
Yes, with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, at the end where they like give all the rights to the jump to some like AM company, AM radio station.
No, I don't remember that.
So they, instead of having like the news cover it, like the local news, they let the like some local radio AM station.
It's like
have all the coverage.
Little League Baseball used to do that. We used to have our Little League championship games broadcast on our local AM station. So there'd be moms like at home taping it.
Oh man,
it was neat to hear your name on the radio. Like from
totally
baseball perspective. But Heroes though has been phenomenal lately. It's getting kind of crazy because I went from nobody to play with, which you're still not off the hook, Dustin. I went from no one to play with to a whole bunch of people to play with. If I want to get on and just casually play a game, before I would just kind of log in, not even think about it. But now I look through my buddy list to see if anybody's already playing, and odds are there already is someone playing. So I'll send them a little quick IM and say, hey, mind if I jump into your next game and just sit tight for a minute? But it's fun, man. Hopping on Skype playing Heroes is a really cool way to get away from the day and all that. It's super fun, man.
I was listening to a Linux podcast, and the podcast itself was kind of obnoxious, so I probably won't continue to subscribe to it. But this guy sent in a video, and this is all audio that I was hearing, but he sent in a video of there was this touchscreen kiosk at the mall.
Okay.
And he had his daughter with him, and he and his daughter touched the screen at the same time and caused the application on it to crash.
Okay.
And it crashed to desktop, and it was an Ubuntu desktop.
Oh.
And this guy was a coder of some sort, and he had some sort of he had made some sort of touch screen browser game that he went and he brought up on this kiosk in the middle of the mall because it went back to desktop. He could go to the internet browser. So he was playing his own game on this touchscreen kiosk in the mall.
That's kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Ubuntu has a touch version out there that you can sideload onto Android tablets. So
I hear they put out a phone. An Ubuntu phone.
Yeah, and they've got an Ubuntu phone as well. I forget who manufactured that. Like Highway maybe or someone like that. Or that Korean company, Huawei or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do one of the Google Nexus, one of the new Google Nexus phones, which is pretty cool.
Sweet.
So yeah, Heroes has just been a blast to play. And then also I finished the second leg of Hearthstone's Black Rock Mountain. I think the third one might be available now. It's awesome. It was fun. It was more challenging than the first one, which is cool. And I guess the next one's supposed to be really challenging. So I'll report next week on what I think of that. It sucks though because I've been so focused on playing the expansion and Black Rock Mountain stuff in Hearthstone that I'm not playing my ladder games. So I have to remind myself to go and play on the ladder because if you don't hit a certain rank, you don't get the card back that they give out. And trust me, you got to collect all the card backs.
Got to catch them all.
Got to catch them all. And then lastly, I have been playing Plants vs. Zombies Modern Warfare. Did you play that game at all? Or did you see it? It's a Plants vs. Zombies third-person arena shooter.
Oh, yeah. I remember
that. So the Humble Bundle had the Origin 2 bundle, and it came with Plants vs. Zombies Modern Warfare. I loved it. It was freaking awesome, by the way. Dragon Age Origins 2, Mass Effect 2, Bejeweled 3, Dead Space 2. So some really good games. And the pay what you want to unlock them all was like $5.
Oh, man. Those are like super AAA awesome releases.
Right? So, I mean, it stinks that you got to play through Origin, but they're great games, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Humble Bundle, Plants vs. Zombies had a lot of people playing on it. Like, it was really quick to get a game. You pick different classes. It was fun. It controls well. It looks great. It runs really well. I was hitting solid 144 frames a second.
Is that only multiplayer?
Yes, I believe so. I don't think there's any sort of a campaign to it. And then, get this, Dustin. You'll like this. So, I think I've talked about it before that I've got a spare PC that I'm running Windows 10 on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the other day I started really playing around with it. There was a huge update. They've got a new browser called Spartan, which is actually kind of neat. A whole bunch of changes to Windows 10. So I'm really playing into it, digging in, and I'm starting to click on stuff. Well, I click on the videos feed. I'm like, you know how Microsoft, when they default to something, it's usually terrible.
Yeah.
Like when they're like, hey, check out your videos or whatever. So I clicked on videos, and it takes me to the Xbox store. And I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. I knew that they were doing some integration between the Xbox One and Windows 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought to myself, you know what? I wonder if I can I wonder if I can watch that documentary on E.T. Or, the digging up of the landfill thing and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I wonder if I can rent that now that I have access to the Xbox store. Not only was it free to watch, it was free to download.
Huh.
And Windows 10 is free to get into. So I
Wow.
watched it.
That's
last
awesome.
night.
Yeah.
The documentary's not so awesome, but but the fact that I was able to get access to the Xbox store like that was really, really cool. So I had heard that this documentary was really good, and maybe I'm turning into a documentary snob.
Uh-huh.
I was unimpressed.
Oh no.
I it's kind of, you haven't seen it, have you?
Not yet.
What was, there was a movie recently that you watched about video games, and you described it as saying it's really good if you didn't know this information beforehand.
Oh yeah.
That's how this felt. So I already knew everything that they said, but they had some really cool interviews. They had Gary Whitta, who's always on the Tested podcast. He wrote Book of Eli. He's writing the new Star Wars movie that's coming out between episodes 7 and 8. Hero After Earth, which didn't review very well, but nonetheless, like, he's someone that... Oh, the reason he was in this was because he used to be like editor-in-chief of like PC Gaming Magazine or something like that.
Okay.
So he's got a big background in video games. And they had Nolan Bushnell on there, and Howard Scott Warshaw, the guy that actually developed E.T. But he also did Yar's Revenge. He also did Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he did some really good games for the 2600. But he also did E.T., which a lot of people pan as being a bad game. Ernie Klein is in the movie, which was cool. He was running around in his DeLorean. You know, the guy that did Ready Player One?
Oh yeah.
So he's riding around in his DeLorean with an ET sitting shotgun in this. So it was cool. It made me think, like, my God, like, I really want to meet Ernie Klein.
No joke.
His life must be like super fun right now, because in this documentary, George R.R. Martin is briefly in it, the guy that did Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ernie Klein, like, let him borrow his DeLorean or something, like. So he's like hanging out with George R.R. Martin in a freaking DeLorean. Like, that is so cool. Like, what a badass he is.
He's probably having phone calls with Spielberg about how he wants his movie being made.
I'm sure he is. Oh, Spielberg was briefly in the documentary, not modern day, but they showed older interviews of him talking about the E.T. game and stuff. But I bet he's being really. I bet he's been pretty good to work with when it comes to making this movie, because there's things referenced in that book that are Steven Spielberg things. Kind of like how Will Wheaton is referenced in the book, and he's the one that narrates the audio version.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is the movie I was talking about, was that Video Games the movie? I think that was it.
Yes, that was it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's okay, but if you want to watch it for free, that's really cool. So I downloaded it and downloaded it totally legally. So I've got it on my server now, so I can watch it if I ever want to again.
Is it Atari Game Over?
Yes.
Okay, I think that might be on Netflix too.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not horrible, but it was one of those situations where I was told how amazing it was and didn't quite live up to the hype that I had in my own mind.
Yeah.
If I knew nothing about it, and it was also spoiled a lot. Like, we knew that they found the carts well before the documentary was made.
Yeah.
But it's cool, like, they show them finding the carts, and they show some of the people from Alamogordo. It's neat. It was a cool thing. Some people drove, like, 20 hours to witness them dig it up. It was like, oh, are you kidding me? It's nuts. So, all right, man. Well, I think that's a show. I got nothing else to talk about. Without Josh here, we don't know what he's been up to and what he's been playing. But when he is finally back, we're going to have plenty to talk about. So strap in. I think next week might be a relatively long episode. If we get Biff McSkylark on with Josh, could be a long one. So, Good deal. Well, shout out to our Canadian friends, Demez and Kevin. I'm not sure where Zarek is from, so I'm going to assume the States, like an ignorant American would. And shout out to Mike T. So thank you to all four of you for writing in. We really appreciate it. I want to remind everybody that if you'd like to send us an email, you can write to us at classicleet@gmail.com. That's classic L337. That's also our website, classicelite.com. And also, you can find us on Stitcher. We're on iTunes, so please subscribe there. Like us if you do, to help share episodes with your friends and whatnot, and help our ratings out there. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Just search Classic Elite and you'll find us. And we're also on Twitch, where you can watch us record our podcast roughly Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time is usually when we record. So, anyways, thanks a lot, everyone, for listening. Oh, I've got another track from Electric Children I'll be playing this week. So if you like the music, just go to our show notes at classicelite.com, episode 136, and you'll have a link to his SoundCloud there. So Electric Children's awesome. He's got some really good stuff.
Completely unrelated. I've had Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge for the Game Boy. One of the tracks, I think it's the Crystal Castle, is called New Messiah. I've had that in my head for like 2 days. That track is amazing.
Maybe we'll be able to find like a remix of it or something for for next episode. You have to send it to me. Video game music's so good. It's so underrated. It's just a whole bunch of hidden gems. But all right, everyone. Well, thanks a lot for listening to episode 136 of Classic Elite, and we'll see you next week for episode 137.
Boosh.